Hello and welcome to Unprofessional Engineering. My name is James.
You got Luke.
Luke, today we're tackling the old wives' tales, myths, and potential remedies between hiccups and hangovers. I think
Who came up with this name? This was
a
the best name
collaborative
ever.
effort. It is hiccups and hangovers.
Because I wanted to cover medical stuff, and then you obviously wanted to talk about hangovers
Right.
for
multiple
reasons. And then I think we said hiccup and hangovers, and we're like, that's a great idea for the name.
Hiccups and hangovers. All right, Luke, how about you lead the way and tell us all about hiccups?
Okay, so I do have to start with what a hiccup actually is.
I would like to know that.
Okay, so a hiccup is an involuntary contraction of the diaphragm. This is the muscle that separates your chest from your abdomen. It plays a very important role in breathing. Each contraction is then followed by a sudden closure of your vocal cord, which produces the characteristic hic sound.
Huh.
Top of my head.
That was very impressive off the top of your head. So the involuntary contraction of the diaphragm.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Never mind then.
Yeah. So, a couple things. There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, obviously, the human body is this, amazing, mechanical device.
It is.
And there's so much stuff going on. You don't think about what's all going on, in your digestive system. I learned all about, your sympathetic nervous system, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff here.
Biology.
So I do want to give a shout out. I know I'm doing this ahead of time, to Mayo Clinic. So this is all legit. This is not Wikipedia. The vast majority of this is legitimate Mayo Clinic cutting and pasting.
So this is mostly the most legitimate research you've ever done.
Oh, by far.
200 episodes or so in.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you combined all 200 episodes that I've done and their legitimacy compared to this one is more legitimate than all the other previous ones.
That's real good to know.
Just put, because Wikipedia is only so right.
Yeah, it's so right.
Okay, so we'll get into actually what's happening there a little more specifically. But what causes a hiccup, James? Any thoughts on what causes a hiccup? Any guesses?
I can't even guess. Maybe little green men in my belly?
No. Oh. So they used to think that, which is crazy. Back in the day, they did some nasty things to people that had hiccups.
No.
So drinking carbonated beverages, and these are what they call typical hiccups. So these are hiccups that last less than 48 hours, which is crazy.
What do you mean?
Exactly. So this is bananas. So there's anything less than 48 hours is what's called a typical hiccup. I have hiccups for 5-6 minutes, but apparently you can have a typical hiccup for up to 2 days.
Wow.
So carbonated beverages, drinking too much alcohol, eating too fast, swallowing air as you're eating, excitement, emotional stress, sudden temperature changes, swallowing a lot of air when chewing gum or eating candy or anything like that. So that's kind of what causes a typical hiccup.
I can't say that I've ever noticed any reason that I got hiccups other than drinking too much alcohol. Obviously, I've had them, but it's not like I could tie something back to making it happen. Very cool.
Okay, so now we get into long-term hiccups, and I just feel bad for these folks. So a long-term hiccup is any hiccup that lasts longer than 48 hours,
just think how much you hate short hiccups.
Could you imagine how insane that is?
Think how much everyone around you must hate you,
Oh, my goodness gracious. So there's a couple different primary reasons. The first one is nerve damage or irritation. So this is there's hair or something in your ear canal, because eye, ear, throat, eye, E, and T, it's all connected. So if you think about you go in your ear canal, do you ever get a tickle in the back of your throat?
I have.
It's really your ear, your eardrum connected down in there. So your eardrum has some issues. There could be a tumor or a cyst or a goiter. Did you ever see the goiter episode on Seinfeld where
goiter,
where Elaine goes to visit the lady that's shut-in?
Yeah.
So a goiter, something in around your neck area, reflux.
Off topic, but kind of. We always watch TV while we sleep.
Okay.
Apparently, Brianna can't sleep without that.
Okay.
So Seinfeld has been on recently, and that makes me not be able to sleep because then I'm just staying up all night watching these great episodes. Go ahead.
I love Seinfeld. Yeah, so reflux and a sore throat or laryngitis. So those are the nerve or irritation. So you can also have a central nervous system disorder that causes hiccups.
Yeah, why not?
So you can have meningitis. You can have multiple sclerosis. You could have had a stroke, a traumatic brain injury. You might have a tumor that's doing something with your nervous system.
You're making me very worried. Next time I have hiccups, oh my
you're going to think you have a brain tumor.
Right?
And then the final one is a metabolic disorder, or you're a drug addict. So alcoholism, barbiturates can cause it. Certain anesthesias can cause it. People with diabetes can get it. Electrolyte imbalance, so drink your Gatorade, kids. Kidney disease, taking too many steroids, and tranquilizers. That's crazy. And the reason, so the one that gets me the most, so the irritation and the metabolic one in drugs, I kind of get, but the nervous system disorders, like you might have meningitis or you might have had a stroke or a brain injury. Those are the crazy ones because there's this whole connection from your brain stem down through your abdomen and your esophagus and into your diaphragm area, that there's all kinds of crazy stuff happening there that could potentially cause hiccups.
Can you imagine? You go to the doctor, you're like, man, I've been hiccuping for 3 days. And they're like, yeah, good news is the hiccups, we might be able to help. Bad news, you have MS or meningitis. Oh, my goodness.
So speaking of helping, so there are some drugs they can give you. I'm going to pronounce all of these incorrectly.
I think you've got this.
Baclofen,
oh yeah,
chloropromazine, metrocypromide. So these are some drugs that can help alleviate a bad case of hiccups. So you would only do these in if you really had terrible hiccups. And if you still have hiccups, they might actually inject an anesthetic in the back of your hermetic nerve to stop the hiccup. So that's a nerve in terrible. And around your, it's in here. I'm pointing to inside your esophagus.
Like that soft spot.
Yeah, it's back in there somewhere. And I'm going to talk about that in a second.
Oh, gosh.
So other options, if that still doesn't work, is a surgical implant. It's a battery-operated device that delivers a mild electrical stimulation to your vagus nerve. So this nerve goes from your brainstem down through your esophagus into your abdomen, and it runs a lot of sympathetic systems in your body, like the things that happen automatically, breathing, digestion, blood flow, that sort of stuff.
Wow.
It's a treatment that they use to treat epilepsy, but it's also been helpful with hiccups. So let's say you don't want to do drugs. You don't want to get your neck stabbed or have a battery implanted into your chest. Home remedies. Breathe into a paper bag. Supposedly the buildup of CO2 helps. Gargle with ice. I've never heard of this one. Holding your breath. This is my go-to when I get hiccups, is I hold my breath.
I hold my breath and swallow.
Ooh, I never tried that one.
I try to swallow 3 times at least while holding my breath.
Okay. Sipping cold water. Supposedly the cold and the ice help with that nerve that runs from your brainstem down through your body. Scare them so you can go rah like that.
See, scary.
No hiccups. You can scare them. Smack them on the back. Stand on your head, humming. So these are all
so do those actually work?
So for me, I hold my breath, and they always stop. But I don't know if they were going to stop on their own anyways.
I see.
So maybe because I've never had hiccups for more than a couple of minutes.
Okay.
The most has been 20 minutes, and they finally go away.
So not very helpful.
Not very helpful.
Okay.
So if you believe in this stuff, you can do hypnosis or acupuncture. Those
have you ever done acupuncture?
I think I would try it.
I would try it, but I've never done it.
Yeah. I think I would. Okay, so here's where it gets crazy.
Oh, no.
Fun fact.
It was bad enough already.
Charles Osborne, this poor guy.
Chuck.
He lived from 1849 to 1991.
That's a good go of it.
He was from Iowa. He started hiccuping in 1922. This poor guy. He started hiccuping in 1922. It was right after he attempted to lift a big hog that that was going to be slaughtered. Supposedly, this hog was 350 pounds. He fell and soon after falling, after trying to lift up this hog, he proceeded to hiccup for 68 years.
Oh my goodness.
No joke. Like, he saw specialists. It was well documented. This isn't like, some conspiracy. Like, he had documented hiccups for 68 years. He was like famous for it almost. And then
basically right
after.
Yeah. He had one good year after that.
Yeah, so he had hiccups for 68 years. Kind of crazy. So I just couldn't imagine 68 years. So interestingly, they think when he lifted that hog and then proceeded to fall, they think he damaged or hemorrhaged something really deep near his brain stem. That some of that sympathetic nervous system, like the things that happen naturally, like breathing and digestion, he damaged that, and that is what caused some of the hiccups. So most doctors all agree, that hiccups involved the parenic or the vagus nerve. These are the nerves I talked about to go from your brainstem. These nerves, the parenthetic runs the motory and sensory nervous system in the diaphragm, so it controls your diaphragm. And the vagus provides the parasympathetic supply for all the organs in your thorax and abdomen. So so this basically digestion, muscles, things moving, breathing, all that sort of stuff. They're very similar. They both start at the brainstem and the neck, and they run down through your diaphragm. And if your diaphragm, a friend of mine actually had a vagus nerve issue where when he coughed a lot, he would pass out.
Oh, well, that's not good.
Yeah, which is crazy. So they think there's a problem there. The other thing, too, is they think biologically, like, why do we hiccup? There's no reason for it. It's not like a burp when you have gas. It's not like you're farting and it's just some natural body thing that you need to do. There's no reason for a hiccup that we know of biologically. So there's two theories. So some people think that it's a holdover from our evolutionary past.
That could be. Okay.
They think that because we evolved, or people say we evolved from fish. Fish actually, with their gill system, they actually have to close off their, certain parts of their body to not let water in, but they need to breathe. And, since we evolved from that, it's this super ancient, evolutionary thing that we used to do.
Interesting.
And it's still way deep inside your brainstem.
Okay.
And then the other one is they suggest it's actually because a lot of babies get hiccups when they're in utero. And they think that it's a way for fetuses to start breathing and exercising those muscles to prepare them for whenever they are born and have to start breathing.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I love it, Luke. Thanks for educating me.
Yeah.
So I know we're a little bit behind here from our normal break, and I think I want to change things up just based off of this. But let's take a break for this week's Luke's Rant.
So the rant. So I have to. I got to keep this related to like medical type stuff.
Right.
So I went to the doctor recently, and I won't say what for.
Thank you.
Because it's personal.
I don't want to know.
You don't want to know. It's personal. So I go to the doctor. I get there. I wait like 55 minutes in the office, and I'm like, so I'm literally getting ready to leave. It's always the case. Oh, we'll take you now. And I know they're not really taking me. They take me back into the room.
In the room and wait room.
And then a nurse comes in, weighs me. I'm fit as a fiddle.
You are.
Yeah,
you can tell. You're svelte.
6% body fat. Weighs
really?
me. Oh, goodness gracious. No, multiply that a couple times. Weighs me, does all that sort of stuff, says the doctor will be in a minute. That minute, which is 60 seconds, turns into like 27 minutes. So I'm at the doctor over an hour and a half. Still haven't seen the doctor. He comes in. So how you feeling? Blah, 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 blah. Sits down. Literally spends less than 5 minutes with me. And says, here's a prescription, here's a specialist, go check him out. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So here's the thing. I've gone to doctors before, and if you see the nurse practitioner, they are typically way better. Their schedule isn't as crazy. so you're not waiting forever. They come in faster. So I don't know why doctors have to be like, why can't they just all act the way nurse practitioners act? And I get you go to school differently and they can do different things like write prescriptions and do different things like that. But every time I've gone to see a nurse practitioner, they always give me better advice. They spend more time with me. It's crazy.
Are you a MedExpress or urgent care kind of person?
I'm normally not because I've been misdiagnosed twice at a MedExpress. But my wife had Lyme's disease like 5 years ago, and MedExpress was the one that found it. So I'm kind of 50-50 with that. Like if she wouldn't have gone, it could have gone on and been worse.
All right. Well, all of our doctors listening, up your game.
Yes.
Is that fair? All right, moving on. We've already covered hiccups, which was really great.
Your
Very
turn.
Interesting stuff. Now we're going to talk about hangovers. So, Luke, how do hangovers work? Do you know anything about how they work?
I don't.
Other than you drink a lot of booze and it hurts.
I do know that it's from consuming excessive amounts of alcohol.
Right. So it's a 3-step process. Number 1, dehydration. Booze is a diuretic, it turns out, meaning you pee a lot. Alcohol actually suppresses, and in addition, it actually suppresses the pituitary gland's release of vasopressin, which is the hormone that triggers the reabsorption of water back into the body. So without that, your kidneys are like, get out of here, liquid.
So you pee more and you don't absorb liquid.
Well, yeah, you're not absorbing it, so your kidneys are like, uh-oh, too much liquid, let's get rid of this. And it sends it straight to your bladder then. And so then out it goes. Hopefully you make it to the bathroom first. Otherwise, I mean, some of us have been there before. That's a bad experience. Okay. So then what happens? Well, your headache follows because your body needs water from somewhere, right? So your body starts to steal the water from your brain. Literally starts stealing water from your brain. This causes the tissue of your brain to shrink and pull away from your skull. Quite literally, giving you a headache.
Why would you ever drink alcohol?
All that peeing that you're doing also means that you're down on your sodium, your potassium, your magnesium, all of these great things that your body needs for proper body and cell function. So that's step 1 of your debilitating
That's only step
hangover.
1?
Step 2, I have it phonetically spelled out here. Acetaldehyde overload.
Of course.
Which, obviously, we metabolize alcohol in 2 phases, which I did not know. First, the liver enzymes break down the alcohol from the drink called ethanol. This process creates a toxic byproduct called acetaldehyde. This acetaldehyde is then worked on by more enzymes called glutathione, turning it into acetate, which is no longer toxic.
Yay! Good, I guess, finally.
So, not a problem, right? So it gets rid of all those toxins. If you drink just a little bit, like me, in moderation, no problem. But if you...
That's what I think of. I think of you in the word moderation.
If you drink more like actual me, your liver can't keep up, and it builds up all of this acetaldehyde, and that results in you feeling like death.
And it's
like
also
it has this toxin in your
probably
body.
What kills your liver too, I would guess.
It does
right?
not do anything good for your liver.
Yeah,
no.
like they say, people's livers get all messed up whenever they drink a lot.
Right. Yes, especially over long periods of time.
That's only step 2?
Yes, step 3. Then they have what they call the Coginer connection.
Nailed it.
Okay. So this isn't necessarily your body's fault, all right? So we've been blaming the body for a lot lately here. Most drinks contain this stuff. Cogeners, we'll go with. This has to do with chemical impurities that form during the fermentation process and the aging of alcoholic drinks.
Okay.
If you haven't already, make sure to check out our episode on the chemistry behind making beer. Very interesting stuff. Lots of actual science and engineering goes into it. So these things, cogeners, give drinks color and flavor, but also add the toxins that your liver doesn't really like. So that's no good. So your liver that's already overworking is also getting these other toxins added in. Sort of fun fact here, darker drinks like brandies and bourbons and red wines have more of these things in there. So they're worse for your hangovers. Where something like vodka and gin, less of them. So, maybe avoid the dark.
I've heard that like old wives' tale, clear liquors don't give you like bad headaches and
Right.
hangovers, and dark ones do.
So there might be some science behind that, actually.
Okay.
Fun fact number 2.
Shoot.
For every 250 milliliters of mixed alcohol
So that's
you
what, like
take
4
in,
gallons?
it's a lot.
Okay.
Your body loses 1 liter of water. So pound water. Okay, so that's how hangovers work. Now, before I get into the hangover cures, which I have a lot of them, I'm going to take a break for this week's word from our sponsor.
Nice. I have to assume that our sponsor is Mayo Clinic?
We'll go with no.
Anheuser-Busch?
Also not.
Okay.
Iron City should be our sponsor. We should reach out to
My
them.
mom used to work at Iron City.
See? Iron City connection. So we don't have a sponsor, but we do have some shout-outs, and I wanted to make this a special shout-out. I thought since
For the peanut drink?
this episode has to do with hangovers, I'd give some of my friends a shout-out who have certainly overdone it and have had me overdo it with them, resulting in a hangover. So here's a short list, and I know I'm forgetting a lot. Chris MG, Clark B, PDG, Jimbo, Troy A, Zach and Laura, who don't likely listen, Joe and Melissa also don't listen, Geyer, The Law Firm, Old Host Dave, Scott F, all the way back to middle school. So many more. Thanks for all the hangovers, people.
Troy A is the
You know Troy.
is our Troy A.
That's Troy.
Yeah, he's the worst.
He is the worst. So, all of you, thanks for the good times. The
And
next
the
mornings
terrible
weren't
next days.
necessarily the best.
Okay, so now that this ruined your body, James, how do we fix it?
Okay, so here's some things that actually do matter. Gender, weight, and ethnicity all come into
Really?
play. It turns out that females, as well as Asian people, typically have a lower tolerance to alcohol. Also, drinking in the sun, after exercising, things like that make it worse because that escalates your dehydration.
Interesting.
So, genetics play into these things as well. So how about food as your remedy? Everybody loves...
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, so is this is what you eat to fix it? This isn't preemptively eating before you start
A
drinking.
little bit of each.
Okay.
So everybody says greasy food, right? Like
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, eat your greasy food after a hangover. So foods such as bacon, eggs, and even broccoli contain an amino acid called cysteine. Cysteine, we'll go with,
Nailed
which
it.
scientists claim can decrease the amount of toxic chemicals that we talked about being produced that I can't pronounce anymore, which is produced by your body when it metabolizes the alcohol. So that food might actually decrease the toxins. Those toxins contribute to hangover symptoms like increased heart rate, nausea, and vomiting, but there's little research supporting the benefits of these certain foods. However, eating protein, fat, and carbohydrates before drinking beforehand has shown to slow down the absorption of alcohol, giving your body more of a chance to get rid of it.
Okay.
So eat lots of protein.
So do the
fat,
bacon and eggs
carbs.
before.
Yes.
Okay.
And after, maybe, if you can stomach it. How about the old wives' tale? Beer before liquor, never sicker. Liquor before beer, you're in the clear.
I've heard that.
I have heard that, and I have tried it both ways. Yeah, that's mostly not accurate, Luke. So, that being said, beer might help out your liver with not needing to keep up with the processing of booze as quickly as the night goes on. So, especially if you were drinking the brown liquors. If you were on the liquor, that's no good. But I think people say that it works. I don't know. It doesn't. How about that?
I've heard that the reason it works is because you do like 2 or 3 beers, and that's a lower, like if you just drank all beer, you'd be bloated and there's more to process. But if you're drinking just a few beers and then you move over to like liquor,
that makes you
there's less
sicker.
volume.
So I think what it typically would be is that you're drinking lots of liquor and then you slow down your consumption. So your body's kind of catching up on all of
gotcha. You're giving
the heavy
yourself a
liquor.
break.
You're giving yourself a break.
I gotcha.
And so it just seems like it works. How about coffee? Coffee might help with your headache because it will shrink the blood vessels in your head.
The caffeine, right?
So that's good. But it will continue to dehydrate you. So not a great solution.
Okay.
Hair of the dog.
What's hair of the dog, James?
Hair of the dog, which does not work for me, is when you go and have another drink the morning after when you're all hungover, and that feeds your body that booze to make you feel better. it makes me throw up immediately. Like, I've tried hair of the dog probably 3 times. I'm 0 for 3 with keeping anything down after trying it. So I can't handle it. That being said, does it work? Not really. It could prolong, like you could push it off a little bit, postpone the effects.
Okay.
But you're still going to fight that hangover if you do it.
Okay.
Korean pear juice.
Why does it have to? How come it can't be like a regular pear juice?
I don't know. Korean pear juice. This one apparently actually does help if you drink it before you go out. And it apparently tastes good. So drink Korean pear juice.
Why does it have to be Korean
along
pear
with
juice?
your fatty foods beforehand?
Okay.
Pedialyte.
Yeah, I've
electrolyte
heard this
solution.
one. I've heard, Gatorade and
Yeah. So they say like drink water and rehydrate, but the Gatorade, Pedialyte, that sort of stuff actually does a better job because it gives you whatever electrolytes are. It gives you that. Also, they have a lot of salt in them as well, I believe. So
it's
it helps
Brondo.
with that sodium.
It's what the body
It's
wants.
Brondo.
Is it what the body
Well
needs or
done.
what the body
I
wants?
can't remember. Pickle juice. It hydrates you well and helps with that sodium that you need.
Do you like pickle juice?
I do like
I
pickle
love
juice.
like I remember whenever I was a kid, I was probably like 13. One of my buddy's dads was like, "Oh, you guys want to try something cool?" And he poured pickle juice into shot.
Like a shot of pickle juice.
Yeah, this is great parenting here,
Yeah,
teaching
right.
kids how to do shots. And my buddy almost got sick, but I was like, "This is really good." And I save most pickle juice, and I don't like drink it, but like I'll sip out of the pickle jar every now and then if I'm in the mood for some pickle juice.
Yeah, I'll drink pickle juice.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So if you can stomach it, it's not a cure, but drink it before and after, and it will help.
I heard that there's athletes that use pickle juice to help with rehydration. Like professional athletes use it just to help rehydrate quickly.
Hey, if they do it. I mean, I'm pretty much a professional athlete, but
Does that say what I think it says for that next one?
hangover patch?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get a hangover patch.
Like
like a nicotine patch, but different. You slap it on your body 45 minutes before you start drinking. So keep in mind, a lot of these cures are really preventative maintenance, right?
Okay.
So slap it 45 minutes before. You take it off the next day, and during this time, it apparently is giving your body vitamins that you would be losing during this whole drinking too much process. So it won't help if you don't really drink in moderation
Okay.
anyways. Hangover pill. Take the pill before you drink, and it reduces inflammation and gives you more vitamins. So again, moderation is kind of key.
Okay.
So if you've really overdone it, Luke, they basically say you're screwed. You're going to suffer through it, and that's really your only cure is time. Now, if you have one of those hangovers where, you of course wouldn't know, but some of us have had a hangover where I think I can get through the day, and I'm still going to be able to function, but it's really not going to be pleasant.
Yeah.
Nagging headache, a little sick.
The nausea.
But you get through it. But here are 4 tips from Dr. Claire Atzema, who actually has real science types tips
Okay.
about that. Milk thistle. Don't know what it is.
I don't know what that is either.
It's an herbal medication shown to decrease liver enzyme levels in patients with hepatitis. Take 1 tablet before going out and 1 before bed, and it's going to help that hangover.
Okay.
Water between drinks.
That's just pacing yourself.
Yeah.
That's
Well, my friends and I call this a water chug, and we take regular breaks between our nerding sessions or when we're out, where, after one of us realizes, we've consumed too much of something, we need to go drink, like pound as much water as possible.
I think it was Bud Light or Miller, one of them. They actually put it in their commercial. They bring out like an umpire. He's like, water break, and he blows the whistle, and everybody drinks a glass of water to kind of prevent people from
So that's
overdoing
what
it.
we do. We call it a water chug, and we race to see who can down that water most quickly. So it's a contest, so it's fun. So it
Okay.
helps prevent that dehydration. Mineral water. So to take it a step further,
Okay.
mineral water is actually a little bit basic, so the acid that's produced from booze can get canceled out a little bit by this mineral water. So that's
Okay.
even better than regular water. Saltines. Eat some saltine crackers before bed to help balance out all of the sodium that you lost with your fluids when you go to the bathroom constantly. My go-to has always been ramen noodles. That stuff is so salty. Like, I ate that before. There's sometimes when you drank too much that 2.5 minutes of microwaving is too long and you fall asleep and it stays in the microwave. That's never any good. Or like you're making the pizza that night. No good, Luke.
I love being a teetotaler. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Bonus tip for you.
Bonus
Luke.
tip.
taking something the night before for your headache is not a good idea.
Really?
Yeah, so what is it?
Acetaminophen.
Well, thank you. You nailed
Acetaminophen.
that. So it's broken down by the liver, which is already working overtime. So you're just making things
You're
worse.
already firing it up before you even start drinking.
Yep. If you wake up with a headache, go for ibuprofen instead,
Yeah.
and that's the way to go.
I've heard ibuprofen is good. I also heard that with the Excedrin, the caffeine one, is a really good one too.
Yeah. So like we said already, drinking some Gatorade helps, or eating a banana. It helps get some of that sodium and potassium back into your system. But still, you have to be able to stomach it, which doesn't always happen. And the real, public service announcement here. The only real solution is time. Wah, wah. So the body will start to function properly, becoming rehydrated, building up all of those minerals, and of course, getting the proper amount of rest, which you probably missed because you were spending the whole night drinking.
Yeah.
So that's really a big part of it as well.
You could just not drink.
Yeah. Here's a couple others, real quick, like
Shoot.
global cures. because
so
we
this
are a
is
global
around the world.
Yes. If you're in France, drink thick, hot onion soup the morning after.
I can't drink hot onion soup in the morning, even if I feel
Could you
good.
imagine? In Switzerland, they rely on a hot shot of brandy with a hint of peppermint.
That's hair of the dog,
That's
basically.
hair of the dog.
Okay.
Yeah. If you find yourself hungover in Russia, you'd probably be recommended heavily salted cucumber juice and black bread soaked in water.
So that's basically sodium and and cucumbers have a lot of water in them. So that's
And bread.
hydration.
A glass of heavy cream is the solution in Norway.
Don't ever go to Norway.
So if for some reason, like you're on like a terrible bachelor party or something, you wake up in outer Mongolia. I mean, I hope that didn't happen, but you never know. You might wish for home when a pickled sheep's eye and a glass of tomato juice is your cure. A pickled sheep's eye and tomato juice is the cure.
That's terrible.
Okay, and then one of the others in Puerto Rico, rub a lemon into the armpit of your drinking arm.
That's like a
that a
joke
thing?
that they do to like the
Rub
person
it-
that turned 21. Oh,
Rub
you'll
a
feel
lemon
better.
in your armpit of your drinking arm, Luke. After your sheep's eye with tomato juice.
So I'm gonna just end my speaking role here. I'm so glad that I'm a teetotaler and don't consume alcohol. I couldn't imagine dealing with what do you want to go through what you just described?
No, I don't want my body to go through it, and I don't want to, but I'm a weak man. Luke.
You are a
I'm a
weak man.
Weak man. It doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to, but boy,
You
when
have
it
been better.
happens-
You have been.
Thanks, man.
I don't mean better like you were bad before, but you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mom might be listening. Don't let
Yeah.
her know. Hopefully you all now understand a little bit more about how hiccups come about, things you could do to cure them, especially if they're chronic.
Yeah.
Oy. As well as hangovers and how you can at least try and prep yourself if you're not going to behave properly with moderation.
Yeah.
Until next time.
See it.